Later today, Secretary of Homeland Security Janet Napolitano will travel to Oklahoma. She'll meet with state and local officials and ensure that first responders are receiving the assistance they need with response and recovery efforts. And then take a look at these latest satellite images from NASA and NOAA. They show us the storm system that produced Monday's massive tornado in Oklahoma. You can see actually the storm developing right before your eyes, and it gets bigger and bigger with that cloud cover. The EF5 tornado was what was forming underneath that cloud. Well, we have a better idea of the path the tornado took. It hit two elementary schools, first Briarwood Elementary, and then about a mile away, the Plaza Towers Elementary School. It then hit a packed movie theater and a medical center, and here's an indication of how bad the damage was. This is a picture of homes in a 5-block area near South Santa Fe Avenue in Moore before the tornado. Now here's the same image along with a picture taken from the air of the same area. You can see there was once more than 100 homes, and now it is just rubble and dirt. And for the first time, we're seeing the chaotic moments after a tornado struck the elementary school. This was the scene outside of Briarwood Elementary immediately after the deadly tornado ripped through it. As you can see, many of the students in tears, others in complete shock, not sure of what to do or where to go. Briarwood was one of two schools slammed by the funnel cloud, the other Plaza Towers Elementary in nearby Moore. There were no reports of any deaths at Briarwood. However, 7 children were killed at Plaza Towers. The death toll from Monday's twister now stands at 24, with more than 230 injured. Our Sally Hernandez is live in Moore, Oklahoma this morning with the latest on the some of the victims that you had a chance to speak with, Sally.
We did, and you know, the victims were easy to spot here because and I think we should actually call them survivors too, Ryan, because they are very grateful, and just you could spot them because they were walking with their luggage in their hands, and it was very telling because as soon as we drove in here, we were looking around and we were seeing that there were homes destroyed and there were trees on the ground and just buildings that were gone. And then we see these people who are walking along the sidewalks with whatever they can in their hands. A lot of them had kids that they were carrying, babies. And we talked to one woman about what she saw and what she heard when everything was happening around her.
So we thought it was going to hit our house, so we drove right behind the tornado, a safe distance, and just seeing absolute destruction. And when we got to 4th and Telephone, where the 7-Eleven used to be.
And this is a 7-Eleven where a mother and her baby,
the 3-month-old,
went inside for some help, for shelter.
Yes, and it's also attached to a liquor store. So there were employees from the 7-Eleven and the liquor store, and then people that had come to seek shelter. So when we pulled up to 4th and Telephone, my son shouted for me to pull over because he's seen rubble with a body moving, and he jumped out and started moving people and
rescuing people.
Yes.
Talked about that 7-Eleven and about the woman who took her baby into that 7-Eleven to shelter from that storm and unfortunately did not make it out alive. That 7-Eleven, Brian, is just a couple of blocks away from where I'm standing. I'm standing in front of the medical center, at least what is left of that medical center here in Moore, Oklahoma. You mentioned that theater. That theater is right in front of me. So this is the parking lot. And if I could categorize anything behind me, as bad as that looks, it is worse just a few yards away from that. And you see cars that are piled on top of cars. Just right over there. And then over here, there is the neighborhood to my right over here. And there are trees that are down. There are homes that are destroyed. There are homes that are still standing. And that's the eerie part about this, Brian, is that you don't really know where the neighborhood ends or even where the neighborhood starts. But look at the trees. And then on the power lines, you can see the debris that flew and slammed into the power lines that are still there. There are thousands of people still without power. So Angie and some of the other residents, when they were walking with what they had in their hands, with whatever they were able to get away with, don't have anything anymore. And they were walking to a place where they can go and get supplies, toilet paper, water, something, because they don't have electricity. Even if they have a home, they don't have power in it. So that's why the relief efforts begin now when it comes to donations and Austinites and people everywhere helping the people here in Moore, Oklahoma. And Sophia Beausoleil has more when it comes to that side of the story. Sophia, good morning.
Good morning, Sally. Well, right now we're standing in front of this plane, which is going to head to Oklahoma around 7 o'clock this morning. An East Texas company actually donated the plane, and a woman who owns a company out here at the airport is donating the fuel. Now, this is so that members of the Austin Disaster Relief Network can go and survey the area and bring more people today and tomorrow. So right now there is an assessment team from the Austin Disaster Relief Network that left yesterday morning. We were able to catch up with them. They left the Celebration Church here in Georgetown, and when they left yesterday, they said their main goal was to see exactly what they needed to do when it comes to bringing volunteers today and tomorrow. So basically, the Austin Disaster Relief Network is made up of 100 churches with many volunteers, about 600 that are trained in trauma debriefing. Now, the ham radio communications team, along with logistics team and the trauma debriefing team, will leave today on the ground, and there will be about 75 to 100 trained volunteers. Now, this morning, I have Mr. Al Sedaris with us. He is actually the pilot of this plane. You actually flew the governor over west not even that long ago. What is it like when you go over these disaster areas?
It's just amazing when you see them from the sky. I've taken the governor to the fires in West Texas. We were up to West twice. You get a view that you can't see from the ground, obviously, and it's a moving experience.
You're donating your time. How important is this to you to be able to give back so that people can see what they need to do to help those in need?
I look at it as a wonderful opportunity to be able to do it.
Every time you go over these disaster areas, I mean, do you ever get used to it? I mean, describe to me, what is it like?
It's just total disaster. And with any other description just doesn't work. It's just total disaster. And you think about the souls on the ground, you know, the people. And I don't care about the buildings, it's the people. You know, I often thought, God forbid I should ever be in that position. I could care less about my house, my cars, my possessions. All I care about was my family. If they get through it, well, then it's a success, you know.
We've all been watching this unfold on TV and everything. What are you anticipating today when you fly over Moore, Oklahoma?
I suspect we'll just see total devastation. And I remember the Jarrell tornado. We flew over that with one of the press people the next morning, and it just seemed housing foundations, everything was gone.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us, Al. We appreciate it. Again, that flight's going to take off at 7 o'clock this morning, and it's going to carry members of the Austin Disaster Relief Network. Coming up in 30 minutes, we're going to talk to one of those members that will be on this plane. Reporting live from Georgetown, Sophia Beausoleil, KXAN News.